Hi, this is Kim Ann Curtin with the Wall Street Coach, and this is the third in a series of 3 videos talking about executive coaching. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the tangibleness of coaching. What happens in coaching? How hard is it? How much does coaching cost? These are some of the questions I'm going to answer for you today. The beginning of this conversation, I'd like to start with how coaching begins. It begins with something that we call, and again, every coach is different. This is the way my business is run. This is the executive coaching practice that I have, but every coach is going to have their own practice. I like to start out with something called the discovery package, which really are some deep diving questions that the client answers before the first session that we have together, once the engagement has begun. These are questions that are really big, wide open questions, similar to, what do you truly want? These kinds of questions are questions most of the clients I work with have never been asked before. They're questions that have a tendency to lead one to become more self-reflective and really get clarity around their motives behind what they're doing professionally, and even the motives behind who they are being in the world personally. These are really important for the client to get clear on who they are and for the coach to get clear. I like to say that to every new client, as many clients as I've ever worked with, I've never worked with you, and you are unique and you are different than everybody else. So keep that in mind, that really it comes down to the dynamic between you and the coach that you work with. The other thing that I'm asked often is if this is a challenging thing to engage in, and if this is hard, doing work with a coach. How hard is it? Well, on one hand, I want to say it is hard. It is a lot of work. And on the other hand, I'd like to say that I don't think it's nearly as hard, the work that happens with an executive coach, as opposed to not having a coach. Not having a coach means that you really are going it alone, that you don't get to have somebody who's neutrally holding you accountable to the very goals that you have. And to go it alone, to me, is a lot harder than to ever do the work that a coach and a coaching experience will ask of you. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about too today is that the qualities you want to take into when you go to hire a coach. I happen to believe that the most powerful way to get a referral for a coach, or to consider a coach, is on a referral. Somebody that you know who's worked with a coach before, that had an excellent experience, that may or may not be your experience, but I think it's a good filter. The other thing that you do want to look for is something called an ICF certification. Having an ICF certification, again, is a bit of a filter to just weed out maybe those coaches who are less formally trained. With that being said, though, I'd like to add this caveat. I have worked with a lot of coaches who have no ICF background, who have been fantastic. So I wouldn't say that it's a always rule, but it's probably more common than not a good qualifier to have. Additionally, some clients ask us, how much should coaching cost? Well, that ranges in price based on the level of experience the coach brings to the table, the level of previous professional experience that the coach has engaged in with their own business background, and it also has to do with mastery of what being a coach really is. I would say on average you are looking at an executive coach probably no less than $300 to $500 an hour, and coaches at mastery level who have been doing it as long as I've been doing it can go as high as $2,000 an hour. It really comes down to the success that coach believes they will be able to deliver to you. My coaching firm is more on the high end because of the coaches that we have here are very sophisticated and have been doing this a long time and know what they're doing. I think what you really want to look to is the return on investment that you're going to get from that coach. Everybody has to be careful with their budgets today, Organizations that hire us too have budgets that they have to be really mindful of. But you also want to realize too that the experience level of the coach and the temperament and the connection that the client and the coach have is worth its price of gold, because it will have so many far-reaching effects. There is also one place I want to point you. The ICF has a website, that's the International Coaches Federation, where you can find qualified coaches that are at least certified on their website. But I would recommend that you speak to a coach about where to go, and even run some of the qualities that you're hearing from a coach about the engagement past another coach to see if it sounds legit. I would say right now it's a little trickier than usual to find an excellent qualified coach, because so many people are calling themselves coaches now. So be sure to really do your due diligence and also trust your intuition that you and that coach have the chemistry, and that you feel that rhythm of what a dance partner who has a good ear for music has with you. That is the quality that I would say you want to depend on, as well as all the due diligence you may do. If you have any other questions about coaching and what it feels like, it lasts usually about 6 months, at least for our firm, but every coach is different. But any questions you have, feel free to reach out to me at kim@thewallstreetcoach.com, and I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you.